Hey y'all, welcome or welcome back to Babeinlibrary. It's your girl Lisa, and today I have the Black Romance Book Festival book haul. Now this book haul is going to inspire a book ban because I went to Atlanta and I lost my mind. Let me tell you, I bought 50 books. This is the largest book haul I have ever had, and for very good reasons. When you are in the space such as the Black Romance Book Festival, the vibes are just going and the pocket and the money is just flowing. You are just enjoying being in the presence of Black readers, Black authors, and you want to support, you want the authors to feel loved and cherished, which they totally are. I spent quite a bit of money, but I will tell you this, some of these books I purchased right before getting down there, and I did some pre-orders. I will tell you, of course, this is very much consumerism. If you do not want to lug all of these books back home, go through TSA or do the shipping. If you're not a physical reader, there are other ways that you can support the authors while you are there. Or you can just attend and get something else signed. I will say that there was a ton of people that wind up getting their tote bag signed. This was the tote bag that they gifted all of the attendees. So I saw a lot of people get this signed. Also, what was really great about the Black Romance Book Festival was in your package, you got this signing board. So if you did not bring any books, you could take this board, get it signed. Now, me, I only got it signed by E.E. Valdez. I completely lost the brain cell that I had to tell me, oh, you have this, get it signed. So I think I'm going to use this as a token board, and I'm going to put little trinkets, so stickers or pins or pictures, anything to commemorate my time while at the Black Romance Festival. I'll probably use this board for that. But again, if you are not a physical book girly, or if you did not want to purchase anything, do not feel that you have to. They have other things that you could get signed, which was really awesome of them. But me, I had to leave with something. Like Denzel Washington said, I'm leaving here with something, and that something was 50 books. So let's go ahead and jump in. I will tell you that this shirt is another thing that people got signed. This says, where the melanated are celebrated. This event is perfect for just Black love, Black excellence, and Black reader appreciation. So let's talk about these 50 books. I'm going to start with Deanna Gay. Her line was out of the door, and I love that for her. I wanted to see her celebrated and enjoyed because I had brought 2 books of hers already, but I did not have Team Players. And because I decided to sit in the line, I needed to make sure I got my hands on this. This one is a sports romance where both our female main character and our male main character are hockey stars for their university. Now, I have already read this. I really enjoyed it. I think I gave it a 4.5. So this was the only thing of Deanna Gay's that I did not own, and I wanted to make sure I had it. So Team Players came home with me. Then I went to Kimberly Brown's table. I had to make sure that I saw her because she was only at the signing for one day. Now, I knew I wanted to get Rhythms Blues signed, so this is one that I brought from home. I had just picked it up right before I went to the event, and I had just read it, so that is why it is tabbed up. She was able to sign this, but I also knew I wasn't sure when I would see her again, so I wanted to pick up 2 additional books by her. I picked up Tethered Love. This one is I want to say single parent romance. This one I've heard really great things about. This is probably one of her more popular books. The final line says, find out what happens when getting everything you want collides with ugly truths and vengeful secrets. I love some good mess. I love some good drama and scandal. So I'm very interested to pick up Tethered Love. Like I said, I've heard great things. And then there was 2 other books that I was kind of going back and forth between, and I finally settled on Beyond Measure. This one is also a single parent romance. So this one says, from baby mama drama to deranged ex and murder, Ari and Sim fight to overcome everything thrown at them, all while trying to remain true to each other. Yo, this is how you sell a book. I don't need anything else. I asked her to pitch this to me, but really it was the cover that sold it to me. Like, this is deliciously packaged, and I think that tagline tells me what I needed. So I bought this from Kimberly Table. One of my pre-orders that I picked up was D. Rose. I had been seeing everyone talk about The Other Side of Fame. Even the author totes this as one of her most popular books. I believe this is a music romance love story, and it has fake dating. So those are two of my buzz tropes, at least for the year. I am really into musical romance. I believe both of them are in the music industry, and they have, like I said, that fake dating element. So I knew I needed to pick this one up because I've heard really great things about it. I wanted to support Monica Walters. Right before going down to Black Romance Book Festival, I picked up 8 Seconds to Love, which is the first in this country hood love story series. However, when I was reading that, I just knew I needed to read Red Story with our female main character, Shanna. And that is this one right here, which is Breaking Barriers to Your Heart. These two had hooked me from the first book, and I knew that this one pretty much had been sold out on her website. So when I seen it on the table, I knew I had to grab it. I think this is probably the original cover. I had to loop around a couple of times. I felt like I was an airplane just hovering around waiting to land at Casey Mills's table because I brought Shadows and Whispers. This is the original cover. I will say that the new cover is illustrated. It does have a ballerina shoe on it, but I'm a people cover girl, so I needed to pick this one up. And when I was at Casey's table, she was like, oh, you have the OG cover. I also have the second one. It's just not here with me. So I know I talked about a book buying van. However, I think I might have to get the second in the series. And she told me to specify the sizing because the sizes of these books have changed. And so if I need to have a complete set, I need to do it now. But this one, I believe, has bipolar representation. And that is something that I am starting to learn more about. And I want to see it represented on page. So I was very interested to pick this one up and have Casey Mill sign. I went to then go to Kayla Shawn's table because I've heard nothing but great things about her writing. And the two particular books that I picked up, I knew that they were her top choices for that particular series. Now they're book 2 and book 4, so ultimately I'm going to have to get 1 and 3, but that's future me's problem. The current me said, okay, I needed to have To Be Loved. I think this is everyone's favorite in the series. Now what it's about, I don't know. And then, like I said, the 4th in the series is With These Words. Even that title grips me. Now these are beautiful covers. Again, books 1 and 3 are still, they're going to be on my Amazon wish list, so I am hopeful to love these because everyone else has, but I knew Kayla Shawn was so sweet when I went to her table. She just radiated joy, and her and her assistant were having a really good time. So I was happy to purchase from Kayla Shawn. I did pick up an entire series. Now, hear me out. I had read the first in the series, which is King's Distraction by Aisha Bree. This is a series of 5 siblings. Each one of them owns their own resort, and at their resorts, they have different things that go on. And the covers are delicious. The way in which Aisha Bree is hilarious gives some inkling of those family ties. I knew I needed to pick up the entire series, and they were really affordable, I will tell you. I think the entire collection was $60 and you got 5 books, so like, how could I argue? So this one is King's Distraction. Then you got King's Proposition, and I think this one, she may actually own like a pleasure club. I was like, yeah, I'm going to need this as a quick follow-up. Then you have their youngest brother who has all of the antics, which is known as King's Catch. He's the one that nobody is assuming is going to settle down. He is the prankster. He is the jokester, but he gets serious about a woman. So I needed to pick this one up next. And then you have King Surrender, which it's looking like this is a poly romance. You've got the 2 guys and the 1 girl. So you know I'm going to be there. And then you finally round it out with King's Release. I believe this one, it's either this one or the one before, where the female main character is actually married. And either her and her husband go through a tumultuous breakup and or they rekindle their joy. I'm not necessarily sure, but I want to know more. And so I had to pick up this entire series. Speaking of series, I started the Mafia Misfit series, and I think that's 9 books in, and everyone loves it. Now, Sinful Vows was the first, and it was chef's kiss. It was the creme de la creme of Mafia romance for me. And in there, we got to see 2 characters, Brie and Rocco, or Gia and Rocco. And they were teased throughout this book because of their proximities to the main characters. And that is where I knew I needed to pick up Sinful Enforcer. Now, does this make sense? Because this is book 6, and I only have book 1. No. But did I know that I ultimately was going to want to read this, and I may skip past some parts in the book to get here? Yeah, I'm gonna need to have this. And she had it at her table, and this was the last one. So when I seen it was the final one, I said, oh, means that it's meant for me. Gimme. So this was Asia Monique's book that I decided to pick up. I also have another Asia Monique. It's later on in the pile, so I will show you. But Asia Monique, I just knew her line was going to be wrapped around the building because everyone loves the Mafia Misfit series, but it's all about timing. And when I got there, it was the perfect time. Nobody was at her table. It was just, everything was showing up green light and roses for me. So I knew I needed Sinful Enforcer. I went to Brie Sade's table. I think she was the final author that I went to see. And I decided to purchase from her because I listened to her at a panel, and the way she was selling these books, I was like, oh girl, you just made a purchase without even knowing. And I got there, and her father, I think, was there, and he was really working the table. He was like, oh, if you want this brother, you need to also get this brother. And they go together hand in hand. Like, you really can't go wrong with getting them both. And I was like, yeah, any man that's repping his daughter like that, they're a good tag team. So I decided to pick up Priest and Prince. She sold Priest because she said that he had a foot fetish, and I was like, tell me more. And he had a sensory deprivation. I said, this cover isn't even giving that. Like, you mean to tell me this man looks like this and he got all those things going on? Yeah, put it in a bag. And then she was like, oh, okay, well, if you like Priest, you might want to meet his brother. And then she showed me the back of this book. This the brother. Baby, just put me right here. Put me right here. I just want to live in between Priest and Prince. So, like, I bought it. Do I regret it? Absolutely not. Okay, it's time for the next stack, which has skinnier books. So, less on the TSA people. But, first starting with Plie by A.H. Cunningham. Y'all. This is A.H. knew what was up. Then I got Robbie Renee's Somebody's Husband. This is her latest release. Now, I have read Somebody's Forever and Somebody's Wife, so I had to follow it up with Somebody's Husband. I'm not necessarily a fan of the shiny cover, but it's about what's in the inside. So had to pick this up, support my St. Louis native sister. So this is what I picked up from her. And then I picked up Lady Marie's favorite. Now, I have read 2 out of the 5 books, and they're really, really skinny. So, I didn't feel bad about this purchase. It was very affordable, and I used a gift card. So, let's start with Found Forever. This is the second in the Sisters and Serendipity series. I've read this. I loved it. Older man, younger woman, married, living their life, and her father of her child comes back, and she has to set boundaries straight. I'm married, my son is happy, I don't need you, however I'm going to allow you to be in your son's life, but you got one time to mess it up, and we're going on about our lives. Really enjoyed this, had a great time. And then I picked up some novellas from her. What I knew I needed in my life was Cinnamon and Gold. Y'all, This is a Thanksgiving novella that just eats, pun intended. No notes, all vibes, 5-star. Absolutely glad I got a copy of this because I'm going to read it every Thanksgiving. And then I picked up the 2 in the Sugar and Spice series. So I have Sugar Sugar and Sweet Heat. Both of these are sugar baby romances. I think this one is a poly recommendation where she is joining a married couple, and this one is older man, younger woman, age gap. So had to pick up this. I think Lady Marie just released the 3rd in the series, so I do not have that, but once I read these 2, I will be continuing on with the series. And then I also picked up Group Trip by Aria Days. Everyone and their mother was talking about this. This just released, and I believe it is a vacation fling that has group activities. So there is a lot going on. I think it's like 78 pages of pure spice, and it was $10. I said, put it in a bag, girl. And I hadn't read anything from Aria Days, so I figured starting off with a shorter book would be what I would do, and then I'd go read the rest of her catalog because she writes some pretty thick books. So needed to do a little bit of taste test. Speaking of also smaller books, I picked up Z Renee's When He's Not There. Y'all know I loved this. This one was the cheating trope that had like a sneaky link but make it loud. This one was all gas, no brakes. But then she just released Here Forever, which is the sequel to this. It's their love story after they have finally made it official and going through to see what else the couple can get up to. And I'm very interested to see how their happily ever after continues. So once I picked this one up and I saw this one, like, this is the couple. This is Black love. I can't wait to read this one. I probably will be picking it up soon because I want to be back in the vibes. I want to be back in this area and, living, laughing, loving with them. I picked up A Blossoms Between a Soul Tie. A Blossom was so adorable. Like, she writes the most raunchy, racy, ridiculous romances I hear, but she gives off this shy personality. And I said, girl, you're literally writing about a soul tie, and you sitting up here like, oh, buy my books, baby. You better sell it. Work them corners. Like, they put you on the corner for a reason because, baby, they knew we were going to be here to buy your book. So I can't wait to read this one. And I think I'm going to see her in September. So I might be buying more from her. But again, right now I'm on a book buying ban. This one has to be read first. I dove deep into T. Lynn. Like, I read one book from her, which was Only If It's You. This was a 5-star sports romance, single parent, like marriage of convenience that I loved. And I said, oh, I've got to know more. Like, I have to pick this one up, but I have to keep reading from her. And so I decided to pick up All the Smoke and The Blueprint to Love. This is brothers. And so All the Smoke goes first. And then this one is a quick follow-up. And I've heard fantastic things about these two, so I had to pick them both up. And then I also chose I'll Be the One. I believe this one has an audiobook assigned to it as well, and I hear a lot of things about the male character whose name is My King, and I said if she had the audacity to name the character My King, I'm going to have the audacity to read it. So this is what I picked up from T. Lynn. I picked up Maya, Sincerely Her Gangster. I wasn't sure what I wanted to pick up from her, but this cover said, yeah, this is the type of vibe you're on. Like, this man right here, he could say, hey, little mama, come here, and I'm walking across the street. So this is what I picked up from Maya. And then I needed to read Charity Shane. Now, I did read 181, but I was like, that's not what I want. I want military romance. And so I picked up AWOL, which this one is a older woman, younger man. And y'all know that's my vibe. So I said, okay, I'm gonna pick up this one, and then I'm gonna pick up Under Love's Command. These two go together. This one, both of them are military romances, but this one is like he is dating his commander's daughter. And I said, oh, dating the boss's daughter? Older woman, younger man? All right, Charity, say less. I knew I wanted to pick up Dria Anderson. Everyone was telling me that the Knight Brothers series is the best to start with her. And so I picked up the entire collection. There were two books in the collection, but there are 4 books in total. Very, very affordable. And Dria, hands down, had the best packaging. She had the best swag. So I've got the Knight Brothers and the Knights Continue. Again, this is 4 books compiled into a 2-book packaging. So I picked this one up, and just so you all see, she had this swag bag where it says Gold Fang Gangs, and it has some gold fangs, and then it had like my name in Italian tassel. Like, this is just one piece of the swag box. I also received this box from her. It has my name, it has some different stuff in it. So like, hands down, Dria was the MVP of the weekend. So really enjoyed getting some books from her. The last and final stack, I've got 2 to round out my Mia Heisleman collection. So I have The Last Christmas Crush as well as One Night Crush. This is the final in the Fort Monty family series. I definitely needed to pick these up. I typically see Mia at a few author events, so I know I wanted to collect this because I won't be going to Steamy Lit this year, so I wouldn't be able to pick up the 4th one there, so I just knew I needed book 3 and book 4. So happy to have this series rounded out. Brienne was there, and her line was wrapped around the building, and I was like, okay, I'm not gonna be able to get to you today too. And when I did, her author assistant was like doing work. Like, she was like, oh, what did you come here for? And I was like, I'm not sure yet. She was like, so what do you need? I said, well, I need a summertime shootout too. She was like, do you have one? I was like, girl, yeah, why would I be asking for 2 if I didn't already own one? So she said, okay, cool, I'll get you that. And then she said, what else are you looking at? I was like, oh, I have blah, blah, blah. And she was like, yeah, you're going to go ahead and buy He's Your Ex for a Reason. I said, I didn't say that. She was like, I think you did. And I was like, okay. She was like, what else do you need? Nothing. I don't need nothing else. I really needed to tell her I didn't have Trapping Through the Snow before I even got to the summertime shootout. But if I had told her that, guess who would have been buying Trapping Through the Snow? And at that point, I had already spent too much money. So I said, girl, I'm not telling you nothing else. Please get away from me. She was like, you sure? Find somebody else to harass because I've got to go. So I picked up these 2. And then I had seen Frederick Smith last year at Steamy Lit, but he had ran out of this book. And when the book sold out, I said, oh, that tells me enough. That tells me that I need to purchase it. So I did pick up One and Done. He had another book that sounded just as intriguing, but again, I needed to limit myself. This one is a male-male romance where both of them are teachers and they work at the same school. So this has that workplace romance feeling. And again, because I had seen him multiple times and every time the book sold out, I knew I needed to pick it up. So this is what I chose from Frederick. And then I was fortunate enough to get into Siobhan Latrice's line because I thought it was going to be impossible. The girls were waiting. And I said, okay, let me go ahead and get applying pressure because everyone told me the man is unhinged. He is absolutely certifiably insane and he needs to be committed. And I said, that's the type of energy I'm on. That's the type of time I'm on. And you mean to tell me he's a football player? So you mean to tell me he's dropping all of these bodies and then going to practice? That's my vibe. Bring it here. Apply that pressure over here. So I picked this up from Siobhan Latrice and I haven't looked back since. I know I told you all earlier I had another Asia Monique. And then Life Was Beautiful was what I picked up and I wanted to make sure I had her sign. I've heard this one pretty much makes everybody cry, and y'all know I love an emotional romance, so copped it. Again, another sports romance. This was actually the first author's table I had went to when I got to the event. The absolute first author I needed to see, which was going to be Briana Michelle's Maybe I Love You. This one is a best friend romance where our male main character is a professional golfer. I absolutely find this to be one of the best friends to lovers tropes that I have ever read, and I just had to let her know. And she was like, girl, you made me feel so great. And I said, no. This book speaks for itself. Like, you don't need nobody to hype you up, but this will do it. Now, one book I did not bring to get signed. I think I'm going to see the author in September, but I did purchase it with the intent of bringing it for this event. And I'm glad that I didn't bring it, because TSA would have stopped me and said, hey, sis, step outside the line because this is a weapon. That would have been Demon's Dream by Elle Kaysen. And honestly, it didn't matter if I brought this book, because the way that her line was probably neck and neck with Jacquel J's, who I also didn't go see. But their lines could have been in Lenox Mall. That's how far they stretched. Next to Kennedy Ryan, nobody was seeing Elle Kaysen or Jacquel. And Jacquel was really audacious. Like, that line was ridiculous. But I did buy Demon's Dream. I know everyone rants and raves about this. I hope to be one of the people that talks your ear off about it. I'm just waiting for the audiobook, and I don't know when that will be, but when that audiobook comes around, that's when I'll be reading this, and not a second beforehand. I then stood in line to get Gabrielle G to sign the Soul series. So this is Soul Crush, which is the first in the series, which I did read before going. Fantastic storyline. Had to take a break because I was like, this is a bit much. But I will be picking up Soul Glitch and Soul Tie. These two are books 2 and 3, and I brought these both to get them signed by her. She was so adorable. Didn't necessarily have a line. And I said, hey, where's everybody at? Because y'all should be buying this, because gold. 3 books, one following one couple, all amazing, at least from what I can tell by recommendations. But Soul Crush was definitely it. Last but certainly not least, I almost wish that I just would have bought her entire catalog in pre-order, but I didn't. And actually, that was a smart decision. But I did pick up Savage My Soul by Antoinette Sherrill. This was a 5-star romance, musician romance that centers 2 characters that have an addiction. Absolute supreme, one of my favorites for the year. So I was so glad to meet her and have her sign this. And I was fortunate enough to have someone I was in line with that asked Antoinette whether or not she had another copy of AmoralCravings. And she was like, oh, I think I have 1 or 2. Don't tell nobody. Girl, I'm not telling a soul. She only had 2 left. Me and the person who actually asked for it were the 2 people that got the last copies. As soon as she said, I have 1 more remaining, I said, girl, what are we talking about? She was like, well, do you have cash? I said, I have whatever you need. Do you need Apple, Cash App? How do you need me to get? The money isn't the issue. Bring it here. And she did, and I was very happy. This one is a retelling of like Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs. I can't wait. So that is the last and final book that I got. I say that like, again, I didn't have 50 books that I was reading from. So do me a favor. Tell me which author you would have been excited to see, which book you would have purchased. And if you don't feel like doing any of that, do me a favor and leave me a car emoji for Demon's Dream. Like I said, this is the one that I purchased with the intent of bringing it, but I didn't pack it. And even if I did pack it, I would have been waiting forever to get it signed. So leave me a car emoji for Demon's Dream, and I will talk to y'all next time.